Okay.
No. All right. Welcome back to year 6 of the Pink Locker Room. Co-host Andy.
6.
Still the least favorite Andy.
It is.
We have our trophy. We've got John Whipple's spot right there.
Do you miss me?
Like-
yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do.
No questions why he's the least favorite Andy. Well, else wouldn't do that. Week 1.
Wouldn't you consider Donnie Anderson another Andy?
Yeah.
So there's 3 Andys?
And you're the bottom.
Shit.
There's a hierarchy. Our week one running back points was our payout. I won that one. Puff out the chest. Le'Veon Bell and Matt Forte. They paid off well, first and second round picks. Our trades, we'll recap some of those before week 1 since we didn't do a preview week 1 video. The first trade of the year was between myself and Josh. I traded Ray Helu for Matt Bradshaw. Then Mr. Rogers Neighborhood, who hasn't owned Rogers probably in 2 years or 3 years, trades Sproles, Mark Ingram, and James Starks to Leaper for Lamar Miller, Justin Hunter, and Carlos Hyde. And
Combined,
then
I think they had 10 fantasy points. They
Sproles-
still outscored.
Ingram had 20.
Well, I wasn't talking about him.
Oh, you're talking Miller, Hunter, and Hyde?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
They probably still outscored Aaron Rodgers, though.
Drew's known for his trading, which he then turns around, trades Carlos Hyde to Blake for Miles Austin and Isaiah Crowell or Crowell, however you want to say it. Either way, he's fantasy relevant now since Ben Tate, which all of us agree is injury prone, got hurt. Then Blake then trades Reggie Wayne, Mojo, and the $179 fab claim Jonathan Dwyer to Trader Don, who trades his second round pick, Roddy White, and DeAndre Hopkins, sleeper wide receiver, who he picked up in the 6th round,
Good draft.
for Reggie Wayne, who was drafted in the 6th round, Mojo, who was drafted in the 7th round, and who else did Blake? Oh, Jonathan Dwyer. So
Got him on waivers.
Don trades a 2nd round and 6th rounder for Blake's 6th rounder and 7th rounder, and a running back that is not fantasy relevant. Trader Don, we're disappointed in you tonight. Speaking of Blake, he spent about 90% of his fab budget already, and it's now week 1. What do you think about him spending $700 on Josh Gordon?
I think you go big or go home. $700 for, at best, he comes back week 4. At worst, see you next year, Blake.
Yeah,
Just like Josh Gordon.
I don't know. I figure most people probably below 500 on players that aren't going to play anyways, but
Ray Rice. Next week.
yeah, Ray Rice, Sandy, that's a good 5th round pick.
Fourth.
Yeah, not surprised since
Probably have him on waivers on Thursday.
you picked up Toby Gerhart the second Adrian Peterson's son died.
Yep.
So, not surprised you're all for wife beating.
I said it for wife beating.
No, you support Ray Rice. Is he still on your roster?
He is on my roster.
You could have dropped him today. You're still keeping him. Just in case he appeals.
Just in case they...
If he appealed, you would pick him up tomorrow.
However, did you see an interview on CBS?
No.
Roger Goodell said he could activate Ray Rice before the season's over. Or reinstate him, not activate him.
Then we
So
had
you're saying there's a chance.
There's not a chance. We had a trade today. Actually, probably the biggest name trade we had of the year. Rob Gronkowski got traded from Burt and Mike Evans to Leaper, his second trade of the year, for Darren Sproles, Kyle Rudolph, and Mike Wallace. So Sproles is actually on his 3rd team this year and probably a top 10 fantasy running back, scoring, 18.5 last week?
I get a question. Did Leaper go to the draft?
He did.
He went to the draft. Did he draft a team?
Yeah.
How many of those guys that he drafted at the draft are on his team right now?
I don't know. Let's look.
All right.
4, 5, 6.
Leaper says 6. Lacey Ball, Alan Floyd.
Traded.
Cut. He's got Palmer and Floyd. Or Mike.
Yeah,
he has both Floyds.
still got Patriots and Latimer.
And Latimer. He's high on Latimer.
And
So
Graham.
So
half
those
his
guys don't
team.
count.
Half his team. Yeah, kickers and defense
So-
don't count.
We won't invite Leaper to the draft next year. He can just auto pick and then trade his auto pickers.
Trading is very fun, and it's part of the league. And he's 1-0. Last year, if you remember, he scored the number 2 overall points and lost to Todd.
Well, didn't he start like 0-6 or 0-7 last year?
Leaper.
4,
Yeah.
3.
Ah,
Yeah,
Who's
not a good
counting
start.
besides me?
That's actually funny you say that because it does matter how you start. Our matchups for this past week, I beat Drew by 50 points for the week's high score. Drew barely cracked 100, I think, maybe. But Drew's got some work to do. He lost Ben Tate that game, but still wouldn't have been enough. Todd beat Trader Don by 30. Don's number 2 overall pick,
Roddy White.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, second round, I think.
Yeah, second round, Roddy White. Played against the Seahawks D, so that didn't really pan out very well for him.
That was the big talk on fantasy sports radio. Should I bench Aaron Rodgers versus the Seahawks defense?
Yeah.
Everyone said, what the fuck you talking about? He's drafted in the first round, early second round for a reason. You start him versus whoever. But you know what? Maybe some of those callers and people asking those questions had something to talk about, because it would have been smart to bench Aaron Rodgers versus the Seahawks defense.
I will not bench my quarterback against the Seahawks D.
That's because your quarterback plays against.
Guaranteed.
He's on the field against the Seahawks defense every single week.
Yeah.
Or with them, I should say.
Former North Carolina State
Badger.
Wolfpack.
Or Wisconsin Badger, whichever.
Yeah.
Didn't he win a Rose Bowl with Wisconsin? What did he win in North Carolina State?
Scholarship to Wisconsin.
A fifth-year scholarship.
Andy Wallace beat newcomer Steve Scholl. He beat him by 50.
Yeah. Welcome to the league, Steve. Bend
Yeah,
over.
that's what I'm going to say. Not very welcoming
Sorry.
to the league by Andy, but that's why he's the best and the most favorite Andy. Both these teams need some real running back help after this week. Scholl has Zach Stacy and Doug Martin, but all reports are they'll probably be on the waiver wire in a couple weeks. And Martin's hurt, and Benny Cunningham is the go-to guy now.
Well,
And then Wallace.
Zach Stacy went against the phenomenal Minnesota Vikings defense.
Wallace took Trent Richardson in the fourth round.
Does Wallace even have a running back?
He has Richardson and Woodhead and Jordan Todman.
I think this year we should start something new. We should take calls during the live show and maybe prostitute out some trades. Like, first agenda is we got to get Wallace a running back. Start throwing some trade offers out to Wallace. I'm sure he'd love to break up Megatron and Calvin Stafford. Mr. Stafford.
Wallace and Megatron. I don't see him doing that after Monday night at all.
Yeah.
Why would he? That's a huge double dip. That's one that, I mean, you saw what it could do.
He's got to play the Vikings defense twice.
But he could get,
And the Bears defense twice.
Between Stafford and Megatron, it's a minimum of 45 points a week.
What's that?
Roster baiting last night.
Yeah.
That was happening. Just
Oh, I'm sure he was. With double dip, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, that's exactly what you want. I mean, he went from being up like 5 against Scholl to wonder if he's going to win to smoking him.
He can go to bed early.
Yeah, he went to bed early after he roster baited.
We know
Brad
he
beat
can do
Blake by 8 points. Same thing like we alluded to earlier. Blake spent 90% of his fab budget on players he is never going to play. He has his number 4 overall pick in Cam Newton.
Didn't play.
Didn't play out, so that's going to hurt anybody to lose their number 4 pick and their starting quarterback. He went with Eli, which Eli scored at what did I have it down here
I think it
as?
was like 18 points, wasn't it?
No, not even that. It was like 8, and so that's why I mean Cam probably would have gotten 16, so it probably been a different result for Blake and Brad. Needless to say,
Or
Brad-
one less touchdown for Julius Thomas for Brad.
yeah, I was going to say Brad found
3
someone else
touchdowns.
to replace Megatron in his heart now. He's got Julius Thomas scoring 3 touchdowns. No need for Megatron anymore for Brad. So good for Brad on that one. But Charles disappointed with the number 1 pick. So he should have went Megatron. He could have had Megatron and Julius Thomas, and who knows what Brad would be doing right now.
Well, he'd be 1-0 just like he is.
He would, but he'd be a lot happier with Megatron. Justin beat you by
He
20
did.
points. Tough loss for you, actually, because you scored 126 or so, which is above
128.7, but who's counting?
above league average. So I think we calculated last year league average is like 116, 117 a week. So
I beat everyone in your league except you, but start out 0-1.
yeah,
I'd take 130 points a week.
Justin
Yeah.
might have the seal of the draft and no Sean Marino. When did he
God
draft
damn
him?
that little fucker. It pisses me off. No Sean Marino. I was
8th
like,
round. He drafted him ahead of Devonta Freeman, or he drafted Devonta Freeman ahead of him. Danny Woodhead went ahead of him, and Sankey went ahead of him.
good pick. Avoid the overweight rumors and all the gossip in Miami that he's overweight, he's injured, he can't play, it's Lamar this, hometown kid, we're going to give him the ball. Ah, fuck it. No Sean Moreno goes for $116 and a touchdown.
Yeah. My dad beat Bert 103-90. There was 4 teams that my dad could have beat this week. Bert just happened to be one of them. Just shows how badly needed touchdowns are. I think between my dad and Bert, they had like 5 touchdowns. Very minimal amount. Bert obviously wasn't happy with his output as he traded those 3 guys like we talked to earlier. He got 3 new starters with Rudolph, Wallace, and Sproles. So
Did he trade the guys that got him the touchdowns this week?
he traded Gronk. Gronk got him some touchdowns and he's gone. So, but Bert will be back at it.
What I don't understand is Bert is Packers this, Packer that. But I think subliminally he's an inside Minnesota Viking fan. He drafted Adrian Peterson ahead of LaShawn McCoy, which probably 90% of the people in the draft room would not have done. He traded for Kyle Rudolph and gave up Mr. Gronkowski. So I think you're a pocket Vikings fan, Bert. Turn that green into purple.
The one thing Bert did do, though, when he scored 90 points that you didn't do last year for like 8 straight weeks, was he made a trade.
He did make a
Last
trade.
year, remember, you scored 90 points for like 8 weeks in a row.
But I won. He
Nothing.
lost.
Yeah, this week. Last year, you just sat there and let that team just tank into the ground. Let's see here. Leaper's team won on the last drive of the game for the Cardinals. I read about in the box score. I texted Leaper this morning to see, because I knew he'd stay up to watch the game. You have to if you're down 10 and close to what time to get over.
You got Keenan Allen, Michael Floyd, Carson Palmer.
Said he got over 12:30. Was in the Monday morning. Carson Palmer hit John Brown on a late touchdown, and
Tuesday morning.
yeah, Tuesday morning, and beat Josh. So that was a very exciting week 1. One thing I want to make sure we all do know is that we can get in the chat room on your phones, Android and iPhone now. So it's really easy to access through the app. Makes it easy to get on the chat room. You weren't in the chat room Sunday.
I know. I got this 5-year-old soccer league. My son wanted to play soccer, and I told my wife, okay, find out when it is, and we'll see. So she signs him up, and every game is Sunday at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock.
Yep.
So then the coaches suck, so they need coaches. So then wife says, hey, do you want to coach, Andy? I signed you up to coach, and I get all these emails, so now I'm a coach. So after soccer, we have to go to ice cream, and it's pissing me off.
So what did you do the other hour and a half that you weren't at soccer?
There's no games. Who really wanted to watch San Francisco and Dallas? How shitty of a
Sunday
game was
night,
that?
Monday night, you weren't in the chat room.
Okay. All right.
Sunday night and Monday night, you were not in the chat room.
You're right, I wasn't.
That's what I'm just saying. Be in the chat room. That's when the trades happen. That makes it easier. Our week 2 payout will be total wide receiver points. This counts your wide receiver in a flex, so you can start 3.
Wait, I think we should have one caveat. This excludes Calvin Johnson because he's really not a wide receiver. He's like inhuman.
Megatron.
So anyone other than Calvin Johnson for wide receiver points.
I did see a nickname for Decepticon or
Decepticon.
Yeah, Decepticon. However you want to say it.
Decepticon.
Our week 2 matchups in the gold division. I play my dad. Both of us are 1-0. Could be a battle for first place. Leaper plays Drew. Leaper could be in first place as well, or Drew could be 1-1.
Who cares about positioning right now? It's 2 weeks away.
It does matter because guess what? Bert and Blake play in a game where they're both 0-1. The loser will be 0-2, and you can lose only 6 games if you want to make it to the playoffs, as you probably need at least 7 wins if you want to make it to the playoffs. Very few times. I think Bert made it at 6-7. One time won the Super Bowl 4 years ago.
And didn't somebody win the Super Bowl last year that snuck into the playoffs?
Yeah.
At 6-7?
Yep. But hey,
Whipple?
we're just saying.
Right there.
I guess it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Well, it's also these are important because the tie breaks. These are division games.
We've changed the schedule now. They are division games. They are tiebreakers, and yeah, it's outright right now. So this is a big game. But I would like to know what happens with Blake if he starts 0-2. Who gets traded? Who gets cut?
Well, he'll probably cut himself.
Yeah. You are just a fucking mean person.
I'm just teasing.
In the black division, you play Todd. Todd won. You lost.
Could go 0-2 in the division. Todd could go 2-0 in the division. So big game.
Todd always has a solid team. Todd has yet to do a trade yet this year. That's
Todd, I haven't done a trade either. You want Ray Rice?
I would look for Todd to pull off a trade by this time next week. That's my prediction. Todd pulls off
Why would he trade if he's 2-0? coming off back-to-back 140-point weeks.
Well, let's see here. Todd was the 12th pick. He drafted those 2 tight ends. He probably doesn't feel great about Gerhardt. And he probably does not feel super great about his flex player. So Todd's going to feel like he needs to make a move. Because Witten and Vernon Davis, one of those isn't going to be in his flex every week. He's going to need to make a move. Justin plays Wallace. Wallace won, and Justin won. So one of those guys could be in first place. I like Justin's squad. He's hurting with Larry Fitzgerald, but Giovanni Bernard kind of answered all critics. And No Shaw Marino, like we said earlier, and Andrew Hawkins. He's got a solid team. I might be trading Todd Cordero Patterson for Percy Harvin. Just to see what we can do.
Percy Harvin.
What's that?
Justin has Percy.
Yeah, or yeah, Justin. Sorry, I was talking to that. Thank you. Yes, Justin. I'm coming after Percy Harvin. Probably Cordero straight up. I want the double dip. Don Anderson. He couldn't be here at the video tonight. He is painting his bedroom and putting new trim on his house in his master bedroom. His wife promised him a blowjob when he gets done. He's been doing this for several days now. He sent me a picture of him with
Getting a blowjob? Oh.
No, with a painter's face mask. The blowjob's never going to happen. Everyone that's married knows this is just a game.
They just dangle their mouth in front of you, and you do whatever they say, and then like, oh, I'm tired. I got a headache. I need my rest.
So good luck with that one, Don. He'll be here next week. He said so. He thought it was Wednesday night, so he thought he was in the clear. So Trader Don will make his appearance hopefully. Shoal.
Real outfit or no?
I don't know.
No surprise. Mystery.
Shoal versus Brad is our non-division game of the week. Brad's probably feeling pretty decent about his team right now after.
No, he could Jamal Charles. He's just concerned about Jamal Charles.
You got to figure Charles is going to bounce
What,
back.
he got 7 fantasy points?
Shoal is limping right now with those 2 running backs, and what else has he got? He came in late, but
he's got Drew Brees.
Yeah,
you can never go wrong with Drew Brees.
Yeah, but if you're starting Greg Jennings every week, you're not happy.
Greg Jennings got a touchdown.
Yeah, on like 7 targets. So, Andy, who's the 4 teams that you think are going to make the playoffs? Pick them. Gold division.
In the gold division. Is that
Mine.
your division?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Panty Hamsters will make it. I think Log Jammin' would make it. I think Roman Helmets will make it. And I think the winner of the division may come as a surprise because he's 0-1 right now, is going to be Mo Nuttin' in your face.
So, all 3 Dilks members.
Shit, I didn't
That's what
even
you
think
pick,
about
and
that.
Bert. So you picked
I didn't even
the
think about that.
3rd pick, the 5th pick, the 11th pick, and the 13th pick. So, front end of the draft and the back end of the draft. So, Black Division, who do you think is going to win the division?
Black Division.
Playoffs.
I think the division teams will be Purple Magic.
Todd.
I think be Deacon Booze. I think Sexual Napalm. Can't go wrong having Peyton Manning on the team. And again, another curveball surprise. I think the winner of the division is going to be Trade Haters.
Josh. So you pick 6, 10, 12, 14. So in the 2nd, 4th, and 8th picks.
I didn't even pick myself.
Did not pick yourself.
I got knocked out of the playoffs. No pun intended, Ray Rice.
Well, I think Shoal and I think Don have a lot of work to do. But it's early. But their rosters don't look like everybody else's, I think. So basically, I think that's a 5-team division right now. Just looking
Who
at
are the
it.
5 teams? Who's the 5th team? I just said
You're the
4.
5th team. You're the 5th team that's going to fight for that playoff spot. In my division, I think Drew has the weakest roster in my division. I
Talk
think
about being an asshole.
Well, he does. It's simple. Where is his talent coming from? He's got Jimmy Graham and Jordy Nelson. Okay, I'll give you that. And he's got Colston. Who else scares
Did
you?
he just make a trade?
Yeah, he didn't get better in the trade.
Hey,
He hasn't
to you, he didn't get better. Maybe to him he got better.
That's
But if he thinks he got better and he got worse for you, that's better for all of us. Right?
I think Leaper is making the playoffs in my division.
It was a coin toss between Leaper and Log Jammin'.
So, well,
But I was looking at the draft board, and half of Leaper's team wasn't on the draft board, so I couldn't figure it out, so I knocked him off.
so you're picking a team that's going to start off 0-2 to make the flex between Bert and Blake, is what you're saying, for sure.
Yep.
We'll evaluate in a couple more weeks just to
Yeah.
see where Andy's at. We'll remember these picks. We'll keep them documented.
Hold me accountable, I'm sure.
So, other than that, what's the Thursday night game? Steelers, Ravens.
Steelers, Ravens.
So hopefully Le'Veon Bell has a decent game. And Dennis Pitta, Andy Wallace, 15 targets. What do you have, 10 catches, 8 catches?
10 catches.
Andy Wallace is being very stubborn in trying to trade Dennis Pitta. I sent him a great offer, and he rejected me.
Well, of course. He's got 10 catches, almost 100 yards, Mr. Pitta.
Yeah, I suppose you got to have somebody that scores points besides Stafford and Megatron. And Jeffrey.
Really? If they put up 65 points a game, do you need someone else?
No, you pretty much just need Jeffrey and Pitta. Wallace truthfully, if it works out for him, he's got the same squad I had last year. A solid quarterback, 3 good wide receivers, and a solid tight end. You don't need a running back if you got that. So,
And you drafted running backs 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round last year.
yep. And I traded him. And I drafted him in the first 3 rounds this year, and I have not traded one of them.
Nope.
And then I took 5 wide receivers, none of which I like.
All right. Well, maybe we'll broker a trade. When's the next trade?
I do like Cooks. Next trade will happen tomorrow. There's going to be a trade tomorrow after Fab goes off for sure. So,
I think so.
free agency goes off 11 a.m. tomorrow. First one of the year with a lot of shit going down. Thank you, guys. Uh-oh.